Hello, so in this episode today, I'm deciding to continue our little journey of ranking One Piece things, and I will be ranking the top 10 villains of One Piece. So let's prepare for battle. Alright, so we are back. And today, as I mentioned in the intro, I'm going to be ranking the top 10 villains of One Piece. Now, before I jump into the ranking, I want to start by first off addressing that I will be giving you my top 5 honorable mentions. These honorable mentions doesn't mean I don't think that they're interesting bad guys or villains, however you want to reference them. Because, not all of them were straight up villainous. I'm not even saying that they're not even like that power based. This isn't based on their power ability. So just because somebody's on this honorable mentions list or isn't at the top of one list, that doesn't mean that they're not powerful. So I want to make that perfectly clear. I'm basing this somewhat on power level, somewhat on likability, somewhat on like how bad they are, So anyways, without further ado, let's jump into my honorable mentions. Coming in at number 5 is Uta. She was a definite new bad guy, but she generated a lot of likability for me and for most fans. I know in the TCG card game, she has had almost as many cards printed of her as there are Luffy cards. So, I don't really think she's that bad. Coming in at number 4 is the clown pirate Buggy. He's likable as well, and he's not that big of a villain. He is a villain, like, he'll betray his allies in a heartbeat, but he is also very funny, and he is willing to work with people when it serves his interest. So he's not a full-on bad guy. I think when the chips are down, he's going to make the right choice and side with Luffy. Coming in at number 3 is Arlong. When you compare Arlong to some of the other people on this list, power-wise, Arlong has, no big power. Jinbei could wipe the floor with him, and Jinbei is just like him almost. Coming in at number 2 is Queen from the Wano arc. Again, powerful. The only reason he is above the others is because, like someone else on this list, he is very unpredictable. He will turn on his own allies to further his own goals. So no one is safe around this person. And coming in at number 1 for honorable mentions is Crocodile. Crocodile, I feel, was very dangerous and was one of the big first bad guys Luffy truly faced. He was even tougher than Buggy, than Arlong. I believe he was the first major villain that Luffy fought once he entered the Grand Line. Kind of, if it were a video game, he's the final boss. You had a little bosses all the way up till the end. You had even mini bosses. But then Crocodile was the big boss. But compared to where Luffy is now, I feel like he's relatively weak, and I feel like Luffy would have zero trouble beating him. But alright, so that ends the honorable mentions list. Now let's dive into the main list, and I will be mentioning these characters' names, and as far as I know, I'm going by first name then last name. So, coming in number 10, Katakuri Charlotte. Katakuri was definitely the most skilled fighter of Big Mom's crew. Of her children, I'd say he's the most dangerous. The only reason Luffy is alive is because Katakuri threw that fight. Like, I honestly did not know if Luffy could really beat him in a fight to the death. But, I mean, he had Luffy on the brink and realized Luffy was not going to give up. So he just kind of opted out, in my opinion. Coming in at number 9, this person has 0 power. In number 9 spot goes to St. Charlos. Like I said, he has no power. I mean, other than the fact he's a celestial dragon, the only power he has is the power that is just given to him. I really don't understand why. I mean, I figure the 5 elders, the other leaders in the military should, like, all be thinking, hey, you know what? These guys, without us to enforce laws and stuff for them, they have no power. Unless they're hiding something, these guys are pretty weak. And maybe they're saving that for the end. Maybe the celestial dragons have some sort of huge power base that we don't know about. But St. Charlos was very annoying and fully deserved the punch that Luffy gave. But because he is, like, so high up, that's where, like, hitting him, it triggered off the military, so. Pretty unlikable character. I did not care for him. And we haven't seen too much of him since. There was a little bit of him in the Reverie, but coming in at number 8 is Rob Lucci. Now, Rob Lucci, I feel, is going to probably come back again. I feel like he and the members of, well, I was informed he's no longer in CP9. They're now CP0. I feel like some of them might return in the future. And I feel like this guy is going to be a big threat to at least somebody on the Straw Hat crew. I can maybe see him going against, like, maybe Usopp and Chopper and Frankie. Like, CP0 goes against them, possibly. Coming in at number 7, Kanjuro. Or, as I like to call him, the Joker, because, I mean, this looks like the Joker in a samurai getup. Like the Mark Hamill version of the Joker. In fact, I have a whole theory that Oda based certain characters off the Joker. Like, there's 3 big Jokers, or there's different characters that match different versions of the Joker. But, yeah, Kanjuro, he was a snake in the garden, and now he has this power where he can draw, and now we've learned that he's a really good drawer. By the way, spoiler alert if you don't know. Yeah, Kanjuro is just like one of the worst. But there were other people that were way higher up on this list. So, coming in at number 6, Big Mom. Now, would have put her higher, but she's not very bright. And that's what brings her all the way down here. She's kind of annoying. She's pretty stupid. Just very simple. Oh, I want this. I go for this. Kind of an attitude. But she's not really a big planner. And she's ruled by her, desires. That leads me to another theory that I might be putting out there, that the 7 emperors equal to the 7 deadly sins. But Big Mom, me and Anime D Senpai, we had a discussion once. And I actually told him, one of the things that makes Big Mom a good villain is the fact that you don't like her. You're not meant to like her. She doesn't do anything redeeming. She has this power that is very powerful. And she is like a nuclear bomb that could go off at any second. She is very volatile. Just the wrong move, just the wrong thing could set her off. And that sometimes, like when she gets her hunger pangs, she doesn't differentiate friend from foe, which makes her even more dangerous. Like I said with Queen, he doesn't care. He'll kill his own people to kill his enemies. Big Mom is the same way, except Big Mom has zero control. It just takes over. So she becomes like a tornado or a hurricane or some other natural disaster. And that is where she is at her most dangerous. So let me know in the comments below if you agree with that about Big Mom. Do you agree that, that's what makes her so dangerous and puts her this high up on the list? Is that she is like an unstoppable force. And she's not very bright, so she doesn't think things through. She just acts. Much like Luffy, but coming in at number 5 is Sakazuki. Now Sakazuki, again, spoiler alert, if you've not made that far into the anime, I don't know why you're watching this, because this is going to talk about a lot of more villains than. But anyways, yes, this guy was responsible for killing Ace. Almost killed Luffy. And because of what he did to draw out Luffy, to set up that trap for drawing out Luffy, or Whitebeard, resulted in the death of Whitebeard. So, technically, this guy is responsible for killing 2 of the most legendary pirates of the story. And I think that's what makes him so dangerous. Even more dangerous than Big Mom. Because while Big Mom is stupid and doesn't think things through, he's very intelligent, obviously, and does think things through. So, coming in at number 4. Now, I had 2 names for number 4. I couldn't decide which one was worse. I view both of these characters equally annoying. Equally, like, their powers are equally bad. They're equally annoying. And I just couldn't stand them. So coming in at number 4 is Treble and Pharaoh Sparrow. Like I said, these characters, I hate when they're on screen. First off, I don't even know how Pharaoh Sparrow can laugh or talk, because his tongue is sticking out all the time. Although that goes for other characters too. And he's just so annoying. Always saying lickety this, lickety that. Treble is not much worse. He's always making those snorting sounds. Like he's got a infinite runny nose and he's sucking it back in. But both of them have these like sticky powers that can kill their enemies by sticking them to a spot and covering them. Pharaoh Sparrow's is more like turns like a glass like lollipop. Treble I think is like a glue, but it like engulfs you, if I remember correctly. Yeah, they're both pretty bad. Both have similar powers, which isn't crazy for the One Piece world, but I feel like I don't see how some people could probably get out of, like, they could stop Big Mom or maybe even Sakazuki if they wanted. Coming in at number 3 is Big Bad Kaido. Not super bright. Does have a little bit of a brain in his head. And he's pretty thick. Like, he's pretty durable. But I haven't finished watching his fight, and I'm kind of dreading it because I hate when they drag fights on and on and on and on. And I feel like we might get that, but I'm kind of hoping we don't, since Wano's already so long. But yeah, Kaido, he basically smacked Luffy down early on, and now Luffy's been trading, so now they're in what I'm hoping is the final battle of this arc. So we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, that's why Kaido is at number 3. And from what I'm gathering, he's pretty hard to kill. Although not like there's a lot of death in this franchise anyway. Because I still say Robin was robbed of a whole ship full of death. Coming in at number 2 is Marshall D. Teach. Now the only reason Teach is at number 2 is because he's kind of like the Thanos of this story. And I don't even think he's the big bad villain, like the big bad guy. I think he's just like I said, Thanos. He wants the One Piece. He's after the One Piece, and he's collecting up devil fruit powers to do so. He has something that allows him to take other devil fruit users' powers and either give them away or give them to himself. I don't know. They haven't really explained it. They just keep saying it's happening. But yeah, I'm really interested to see how this plays out, especially against Luffy. It will be kind of interesting to see if he has like a whole collection. If he has like 5 rings on his finger, each one with a different devil fruit, and he's able to combine those powers together. It'll be interesting to see. But I definitely feel like Marshall D. Teach is going to be the one who takes on Luffy in the end. So I think it'll come down to Luffy versus Blackbeard. He's also, I guess, kind of like the Voldemort of this series, too, because he's been there kind of since the beginning, since before Roger found the One Piece originally. And, yeah. So now, moving on to number 1, the worst, most hated villain of mine of One Piece goes to Doflamingo Don Quixote. This is a very difficult character for me. This is my umbrage of the series, because whenever I first started seeing him on screen, God, I hated him. I don't know why. I couldn't tell you why. I thought he looked kind of cool. Like his I want his glasses. I want his sunglasses. That might be the only reason I thought he was cool, because I really like those sunglasses. I'd love to have those. But I didn't care for the big fuzzy pink thing he wore, and he always walked kind of funny. His devil fruit power gave me a ton of questions, but he was very annoying. And I had to stop watching One Piece like 2 different times during Dressrosa, because I was so annoyed by Doflamingo and that whole final fight, especially the fight with Bellamy. Like, maybe that's part of why I hate Doflamingo so much, because they constantly kept showing some of the same scenes over and over and over and over and over again. And I was just like, oh my God, get on. And then we would get a flashback in the intro of the fight going on with Luffy and Bellamy, and Doflamingo fighting Law, and kind of like him sniping at Bellamy. And then we would get the episode, like the actual episode would start, and we wouldn't even see Doflamingo fighting Law at all. We wouldn't see Doflamingo talking to Luffy and Bellamy at all. And it's like, then why did they show that? Like, we focused all on Zoro or Frankie or Robin. You know, we bounced between these characters, but we didn't even see Doflamingo fight in this episode. So yeah, and also I think too, another part of this comes from the many arguments I've had with Anime D Senpai. You know, granted, I will admit this openly. When it comes to One Piece as a whole, I feel like Anime D Senpai knows more, because he's followed this longer. He's reading the manga. He's more ahead of it than I am. So he has answers to the questions I'm asking now. I don't know if I'm always asking the same questions that he might have been thinking, but I am asking questions. And like, we had an argument about Doflamingo, not on the aspect of writing, but or the story, like who Doflamingo is or whatever, or his powers, because I'll defer to Anime D Senpai for that. But it was more of a character and writing conflict. Anime D Senpai didn't like something with Doflamingo showing up and supposedly saving the people of Dressrosa from the king. And I said, well, has this been answered? Has that been asked? Did they make any, did they show anything about this in the manga? Because what I saw in the anime, basically, Doflamingo showed up privately to the king, said, hey, I want my island back. And the king was like, come on, let me, you're a pirate. You're not going to be happy here. How about you just let me keep it? And Doflamingo was like, okay, I'll tell you what. Give me this much money, and I'll let you keep it. So the king went around and tried to collect up all the money so he could give it to Doflamingo, but he couldn't get enough. And then that opened the door where Doflamingo could control the king, making it look like the king gone crazy. And here's where Anime D Senpai has an issue, is that Doflamingo suddenly shows up, and the people are on board that, he's there to fight the king, that he's there to stop the king. And it's like, he thinks the people are stupid for that. I'm like, but here's the deal. The king there was no proof that Doflamingo was there before. It was just a quiet conversation between them two. So when the king suddenly started acting out in desperation, this pirate who, yes, he is a pirate, but people knew he lived there before. He suddenly showed up, and then he stopped the king from rampaging. And there were people probably after the fact that solidified that whole fight. People they're going to immediately be like, yay, our saviors, But there were people probably after the fact that came around and said, well, you know what? The king, the reason he was collecting money was because of the fact he knew that Doflamingo was coming to reclaim his family home. And he was going to try to buy off Doflamingo from what was rightfully his. And then when he couldn't get what he thought he needed, he was going to steal it from us. Stuff like that. Or maybe he thought, that the king was trying to buy weapons and needed money to buy the weapons to fight off Doflamingo, to stop Doflamingo from retaking his home. So Doflamingo showing up at that moment would look more heroic because he is stopping the king from doing this heinous act. And it's not like in a time of stress and panic, the people really had an opportunity to really think about what was going on. They were too busy being murdered and killed. Their houses were burning down. They didn't have time to really think things through. And when you're going through a stressful situation, and I told this to Anime D Senpai, if you're in that painful, high stress situation, you're not going to think these things through like somebody who is on the outside looking in. It's like when you're reading a book or watching a movie and a character does one thing and you're not happy with it, you have the pleasure of knowing, oh, this is what the bad guy's up to. But the characters in the book, they don't know that. They don't know what the bad guy's up to. They don't know the evil plan. We know the evil plan. They don't. But ultimately, I say Doflamingo is probably the worst. He is the full out 100% umbrage of the One Piece world. One of the things that makes him so dangerous is he is a smart person. And he doesn't care. See, at least all these other villains, they all care about something. Doflamingo just wants to watch the world burn. And he doesn't care who gets in his way. He doesn't care who it's going to take out. He just wants to end it all. He's one of those bad guys that doesn't want to control the world, just wants to destroy it from the core and watch the earth explode. That's Doflamingo. But alright, that is going to end my list of the top 10 villains of One Piece. I hope you have enjoyed this. I enjoyed bringing this to you. I mentioned some things that I got in the works, so yeah, without further ado, I will talk to you all in the next video. Bye.